All right, now for the main event, Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Desert Storm Bradley for the WBO. Believe it was the Intercontinental title, is what it's called, or the International title, one of the two. Basically, it's the number one title belt. Like you're the number one contender. You're the guy who's supposed to be fighting for the championship next, because Bradley was supposed to defend against Saddam Ali and chose to fight Pacquiao instead. So Jesse Vargas, of course, wound up fighting Saddam Ali, knocking him out, and Jesse Vargas is the WBO champion. So if Pacquiao was to continue, he would pretty much be guaranteed a shot at Jesse Vargas for the WBO title. But I'll get to things like that in a second. Looking at the fight, good fight. Pacquiao did extremely well, looked very, very good. In spite of the fact that I thought he got off to a rocky start. I thought Timothy Bradley was winning the first few rounds, and then Pacquiao managed to kind of make his presence known a bit more. Bradley is. It's funny to watch Bradley because he does a lot of things really good, and then all of a sudden he'll stop doing what works for him. He's a guy that's kind of frustrating to watch because he does a lot of things extremely well when he's boxing. But the thing is, I think it's almost like Pat Bradley has so many dimensions, and he's pretty good at doing a lot of different things, but he's not great at doing all of those things. So when he starts to kind of mix it up a little bit too much and stops and kind of gets into lulls where he's not um, consistently using the advantage that he already has over a fighter, then he gets himself into a lot of trouble. And you wind up with situations like the second Pacquiao fight, like the Provodnikov fight, and shoot, even like parts of the Marquez fight where he got caught a couple of times. And that fight was a lot closer than I think a lot of people remember it being in the back of their heads. I don't know, a lot of people think that was a some kind of Bradley domination. He won clearly, but it was a close fight. Um, but with this fight, yeah, I mean, I thought Bradley was winning the first few rounds. Pacquiao started to kind of set a higher pace in the middle rounds, and catching Bradley a lot of times where Bradley would wind up standing still, and standing still a little bit too long. You don't want to be standing still against Pacquiao. One thing that a lot of guys don't realize is with Pacquiao, the best way to fight him is to kind of move around a little bit, force Pacquiao to come at you, get him a little bit frustrated, then set your feet, land a couple of shots, stand your ground, and then start moving again. Either that or, like, I mean, if you were to miss a shot, for instance, of course you could tie him up and frustrate him and all that stuff. The whole point is to try and frustrate Pacquiao, to get him moving frenetically, to get him like overthinking about what his next move is going to be. Because with Pacquiao, it's not like he doesn't want to be thinking about what he's going to do next. He wants to just react, because that he has such quick reflexes with both his hands and his feet that he can react so much faster than most of his opponents, that he's able to just get off a lot of shots. And even if some of those shots miss, some of those shots will be coming at weird angles extremely fast with a lot of power and can do a lot of damage. And that's exactly where Bradley made the mistake. There was a lot of moments in the fight where he stayed static for too long. Pacquiao caught him, and of course there were the two occasions where Pacquiao dropped him. The first one I thought was a little bit iffy because it seemed like he kind of naped the back of Bradley's head and pulled him down. I mean, but it's kind of a here or there shot, 50-50. I mean, yeah, it was a shot that put him down. So yeah, knocked down. The second one was clear though. The second one, Bradley was definitely hurt, and the follow-up left hand pretty much just pushed him over because Bradley was already hurt. He was already pretty much about to go down. Any shot with any kind of force was going to put him down. In spite of the fact that that one landed pretty well, that second one, right on the chin. And I mean, Bradley. Actually, I thought Bradley won even the last two rounds of the fight. He was looking good, boxing well, and it was just a lot. It seemed like Bradley did really well in the spots where he did well. Better certainly, I think, than the second fight where he kind of threw everything out the door, out the window, and just tried to knock Pacquiao out, trying to like replicate what Marquez had just done. Um, but Pacquiao just he put Bradley in too big of a hole with those two knockdowns. He had too much of an advantage on the scorecards. By that time, Bradley was needing knockdowns or a knockout to win, and he just couldn't come up with it. And it's you could see the look on Bradley's face where it's like he had been winning several of those rounds, and then he would wind up getting caught with several shots in a row at the end of that round after putting on an excellent boxing class, and Pacquiao would just do damage to him. So, I mean, it would just do damage to him on the scorecards. So that's something that really made it so that kind of like this watch is doing to me right now with the alarm going off. It's throwing me out of the rhythm for the video I'm trying to do. Anyway, Pacquiao did very good. What's in the future for him? He's saying that he was retiring. Max Kellerman brought up what Roach wanted, which is either a Mayweather rematch or a fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez. I mean, I could see both potentially happening. Floyd Mayweather, it's all pending if he's gonna return or not. Who knows? I mean, only he knows that. Part of me thinks, yeah, he's probably retired. Part of me thinks, hey, he might come back, try to break that 50-0 record. Especially if well, I mean, this probably wouldn't happen for at least another year based on the numbers. But I know Roman Gonzalez kind of creeping up on that record. Probably wouldn't come close to breaking it for maybe 2 years based on his current activity level, though. So that's probably not necessarily a thing unless Mayweather decides to make it in terms of just trying to break the record outright onto himself. Um, and then Saul Canelo Alvarez, I mean, kind of Alvarez would be definitely open to it. I mean, at this point, Alvarez can kind of pick and choose opponents, and he's gonna make big money. He brings big ratings, and the fight I'm sure will do pretty well. And I mean, like I was even saying that they'll probably try to goad Maidana into losing all that weight in order to make weight for Saul Canelo Alvarez fight at whatever weight Canelo chooses, basically. And I'm sure with Pacquiao, it's probably a similar situation. A fight between those two will make Pacquiao plenty of money. I know Pacquiao got that $2 million advance on the purse they made for this fight. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing with all that money. I mean, it's entirely possible that he's just maybe not liquid. That he has some investments and he's living off the interest and stuff like that. So like in terms of taxes and paying them, that he can't necessarily meet those deadlines because he hasn't properly liquidated certain things, and that's getting to a whole long discussion though. So who knows? I'm not sure about his whole financial status and everything, but you never know. And I mean, there's also all in the future. There's always a potential with Terrence Crawford. There's a potential with Jesse Vargas. Either of those fights would probably do very good numbers, depending on if Top Rank decides to risk him. I mean, I'd be willing to bet they'd risk Jesse Vargas in terms more so than Crawford because Vargas already has a loss. It's not like they're trying to protect zero or anything, protect any kind of status there. So I think that would be a good fight. Marquez is still out there around. You never know if they might be able to goad him back into a fight. Vargas though has a title, so I think that would probably be a bit more icing on the cake, and he's a new face. It's not like a rehashed fight or anything. And then of course Alvarez would probably be the most likely in terms of just pure money, in terms of and even in terms of risk, that's kind of. I mean, the thing is, Alvarez, in spite of the fact that he's a big, strong motherfucker. I mean, he's a big, strong guy with a lot of power. He's a guy that can kind of be outquicked, outwitted, outboxed. But I mean, I'm not sure if I'd like Pacquiao's chances against just that style. Because I mean, in spite of the fact that Alvarez isn't the quickest guy or the most accurate guy, that power is just nasty. And I mean, I could, even though I wouldn't necessarily see him landing as much as say Marquez did on Pacquiao. The few punches that he would land, in spite of the fact that it'd be less punches, would be more powerful, and that could be extremely problematic for somebody like Pacquiao. But Pacquiao, for as far as he goes, says that he's retired. He pretty much stressed that to Kellerman, but he also said that he tries to make the fans happy. So you never know. I'm not really a fan of Pacquiao getting into politics and stuff. I mean, I guess off-topic rant is I don't know. Politics is a pretty dirty business, and it'd be a shame to see Pacquiao kind of either become a pawn or just become, another kind of dirty cog in a lot of that stuff, as opposed to being more of like a social activist. I think really that's where Pacquiao should focus his efforts in terms of kind of being like a private social activist. Because when you start getting into drawing party lines and stuff, especially in some of the in places like the Philippines, I mean, you can get into some real dicey situations. And I mean, all you gotta do is look at Alexis Arguello's life for evidence of that. That was a tragic ending that that man suffered. So, would hate to see that happen to a great fighter like Pacquiao. Served boxing very well for a number of years. Um, and I mean, just one of the people that is just a guy in the sport that it was great to see his come up. I mean, even if it wasn't, even if to a certain degree, in my opinion, anyway, it was there was a lot of hyperbole going on with some of the things that he had done, but regardless, great fighter, great record, all time great resume, all time great performances, and I mean, he's definitely one for the history books if he is indeed retired. Um, he could still do it if he wanted to, and I mean, it'd be good to see him be able to live life like a George Foreman, be able to leave the sport with a lot of dignity, class, and money, and his brain still intact. That'd be the hope for the future. So, salute to Manny Pacquiao for his career if it is indeed over, and I mean if we see him again, then good stuff, and if we don't, then I mean that's it, and we'll move on to the next crop of what to weights and so on. The next stars. These guys got to start mixing it up in order to fill the shoes of the guys that are pretty much either retired or on the borderline of retirement. Mayweather, Pacquiao, Marquez, and so on and so forth. So there it is.